Yeah, I'd watch that.
Just a few weeks ago, I decided to have a very big meal. It was a big plate that consisted of mashed potatoes, broccoli, and a pile of chicken nuggets. It only took a matter of minutes before I demolished it, and I was extremely stuffed, and I could feel the food coma starting to set in. It didn't take long before I realized I needed to go to sleep because of how tired I was, and within a matter of seconds, I passed out. I immediately started to dream, and it was a lucid dream, and I was able to control my dream, and I got out of bed. But whenever I got out of bed, I felt so incredibly tired. But at the same time, since this was a lucid dream, I wanted to take advantage of the situation. I started to make myself even more food, and while I was done eating, I went to go clean my dishes in my dream, and I just felt so exhausted. It felt like I had the most intense workout the day before. Like my arms and legs felt so incredibly heavy. Even my eyelids felt like it was just the biggest struggle to keep them open. And so at this point, I had this weird idea that I needed to go for a drive. I ended up getting in my car and I started driving around town, and I was swerving because of how tired I was. I was starting to doze on the road, and I decided it was a bad idea. I pulled off to the side of the road, parked my car, and just got situated and started to snuggle in my chair and wanted to fall asleep. While I was trying to fall asleep, I could hear people outside my vehicle talking about how I was swerving, how they thought I was drunk, and that my keys were still in the ignition. I was swerving, but I wasn't drunk, so therefore, I really didn't care what they thought. But I did see that my keys were still in the ignition because I wasn't drunk, and I did take the initiative to park on the side of the road. I felt like I wasn't really in the wrong here, but this didn't stop people from calling what I assumed were the police officers, because it wasn't until much longer where I could hear a very large person walking towards my car, and it was at this point too where I started to kind of just open my eyes, and suddenly I was inside my bedroom. And I would close my eyes and then open them, and I was back inside my car, and then again back inside my bedroom. Now at this point I was kind of awake, but just tired enough to the point where I could probably still go to sleep, and I felt this very strange sensation, like a giant gust of wind just completely come over me within my own bedroom. Once that happened, I was immediately filled with dread, and it was at that moment I knew I wasn't alone in my bedroom. I could feel someone else was watching me, breathing in the background. I wanted to turn to see who it was, and just as I was about to, I was immediately overcome by this giant weight, as if 250-pound man just pressed me down, made me sink inside my own bed. I could feel their fingers on top of my head and on my side, and I could feel their beard kind of just digging into my cheek, my neck, and it sounded like sandpaper as it was rubbing against me. I wanted to say something, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't even move, and it just leaned in and it said to me,
"This house is empty."
and at that point, I was doing everything I could to move at least one of my fingers, and eventually I could, and I went to try to at least grab its hair, grab its beard, anything. As soon as I reached for it, it disappeared, and I jolted up. I was wide awake, and I was honestly just terrified of the entire situation that had just happened. And, I looked around, there was no signs of anyone having been there. I didn't hear anything, and yeah, that was basically my experience, and I just wanted to share that with you guys in hopes that maybe get some little light-hearted laughs out of this, and feel free to share your own stories of anything that you have gone through, and maybe your interpretation of what you think may have been. But remember, life is like a sandwich. If you eat it all at once, you'll probably choke and die, so it's better to just eat it one bite at a time.